Alright, what's going on everyone? It is Super here and welcome to another Injustice 2 video. And fair warning right now, you guys might be able to hear, but there's construction going on outside of my apartment right now. So if you guys hear any of that stuff, I apologize, but the show must go on. I have to make these videos. Well, I don't have to. I want to make these videos to upload them for you guys. So if you do enjoy the Injustice 2 videos, as always, leave a like rating. But I probably should have done this video sooner. Don't know why I haven't done it. Maybe it's just because there's been so much information, so much news, and so much things to cover that I haven't had a chance to do this video, which is pretty much my opinions on the Flash, Bane, and Captain Cold after the Watchtower that just happened recently. I always do this for every Watchtower. I pretty much upload a first impressions video on the characters and tell you guys what I think and if I'm looking forward to playing them. So here we go. Let's start off with the first one, which is Captain Cold. So Captain Cold was the new character that we saw gameplay from. Never has he been in Injustice before. Bane and the Flash were a little bit more straightforward, but Captain Cold had an absolutely unique playstyle. And you guys know that I love trap slash setup characters, and Captain Cold is exactly what I'm looking for in a character. I love Hunter Predator. You guys know this from MKX. And the reason I love trap and setup characters is because there's so many creative ways for you to play offense, right? It's not a one trick pony. I don't want to use that word, but it's not like a set game plan that you have. All right, I'm going to use this move in this specific way, and that's it. When you play a setup and trap character, you have to find creative ways to get your opponent into situations where they have to deal with your traps and setups. And Captain Cold's gameplay is that exactly, because he has multiple ways to keep you out, to get you in his traps. They're not really traps, but you definitely can use his ice puddle as a trap. So let's go over some of his gameplay here, and I'll talk about some of the things that I like. By the way, of course, I am definitely looking forward to playing Captain Cold. He's definitely in my top 5 characters right now that I want to try out as soon as I get the game. I want to take him into training mode and see what kind of stuff he has. So let's start off. He definitely has a zoning tool. You know, it'll help him keep players away. It'll help him counter zone with the ice, with the gun freeze blast, whatever it's called. Let's just call it ice beam or ice blast. All right, he has an ice blast. They really didn't use any meter burn ice blast, so I don't think that specific move has a meter burn move. It would have been cool for it to have like a full screen beam like Cyber Sub-Zero has, like a really fast beam, and you could turn that into you know, maybe a combo or something. It freezes them, but that's not the case. But Captain Cold's game plan is pretty much to keep you away or stay around the mid screen and put out his traps, put out his you know, send his overhead projectiles, icicles from above, and get his trait out, because his trait is definitely one of the most important tools in Captain Cold's game plan. So the other significant move from his you know, ice gun is his ice puddle. And the regular version, all it does, it pretty much gives you plus frames. It leaves your opponent standing. It staggers him a little bit. He falls backwards. You can use it in a combo. But the meter burn version is the interesting one, because the meter burn version is sort of like a Hunter Predator trap, because the way it works is you throw down your ice puddle and then you meter burn it, and the ice puddle actually stays in place. So if your opponent walks on the ice puddle, he's going to get frozen and you're able to get a combo, exactly like Predator's trap. The only negative thing is, you know, Predator's trap, you could manually detonate it, and there's no possible way you can manually, you know, detonate the puddle. It's just ice, you know, it's just on the ground. It's like Cyber Sub-Zero's ice bomb. But you could definitely use it in a combo. That's his main source of combo potential, combo starter. You know, you do let's just say 1-1-3, 1-1-2, something like that, a combo string into the EX ice puddle, and that's the way you're going to be able to get damage with Captain Cold. So he has that, and there's going to be many ways that you could set up this ice puddle to be hard to block and hard for your opponent to deal with. And I'm looking forward so much to go into training mode and test out to see what kind of setups could I use or can I do with this ice portal, especially considering the fact that in Injustice 2 there is no block button. You actually have to hold back to block, so there could be many situations in which you just throwing out there, you put an ice puddle next to your opponent, you meter burn dash on the other side so he like walks into the ice puddle, stuff like that, just off the top of my head. Or maybe you could jump over him, you could do many setups with the ice puddle. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to testing him out in training mode. The other move that he has, which I mentioned it a little bit, is his icicles. They actually drop from the sky. They are overheads. They really remind me of Sector's up rockets or Tremor's, falling rocks. It's exactly like that, where you could control where you want the icicle to go, far away, mid, or close. And I do believe that they track, like whenever there's a specific move that it shoots up in the air, it comes back down, it usually tracks your opponent. So but you could control the distance, is what I'm trying to say. And the interesting thing is, I didn't expect this at all, but the meter burn version of the overhead icicle actually drops down as a giant ice block. And it's crazy because the giant ice block just stays in place. So for example, if your opponent is at full screen and you want to try to call your trade, or you just want some space between yourself and your opponent, and you drop this big ice block in the middle of the screen, it's going to stay there unless your opponent throws a projectile at it, in that case it will explode, right? But your opponent could jump over it, and if your opponent doesn't have any projectiles, it just stays there in place until your opponent jumps over it. And the ice block is a key to being able to bump up your trait until level 3. But it could definitely be used in many different ways. I didn't pay attention. I'm not actually playing the gameplay in front of me. I'll just put it in the background after I do the commentary, but I'm pretty sure that the ice block is an overhead, right? It's not an unblockable. That would be pretty crazy because it's a giant ice block, so I'm sure it has a giant hitbox. But it did, I do remember it did 11%, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure it's a overhead attack. So these situations where an opponent has a specific move that's coming down from above your head, they're always interesting because you could always call them, and many times you could actually delay them, just like conjure aliens, like alien call, like the alien drone call. You could actually hold it and do some sort of low overhead situation where it's really hard to block. So again, Captain Cold looks really interesting. He looks like he's going to be a setup monster. And the final thing I want to talk about here, I know I took up most of the time talking about Captain Cold because he's like a unique character. Like there isn't any other character in the Injustice roster that plays like him. That's what the guys at NetherRealm said. He has a really unique playstyle to anyone else on the roster, and I love it. Last thing I want to talk about here is this trait. And the cool thing about this trait is it does not go away until you actually use the trait. So it has 3 levels, but each level takes a good amount of time for Captain Cold to activate, maybe a second and a half to activate each individual level. So you can't just sit there and activate from 0 levels to level 3. You actually have to find a way to make the time for you to be able to activate level 3. And the different levels are interesting. Level 1, I'm not gonna lie, level 1 looks like it's going to be really good because it's just level 1. It takes a second and a half to activate it, not that long. You knock someone down, you activate level 1. And what level 1 does is pretty much like Unbreakable Sub-Zero's aura. So Captain Cold puts an ice aura around himself, and any attack that your opponent hits you with actually causes damage to him. So you're not taking damage, but your opponent is every time he hits you, which is I'm thinking it's going to be really, really strong. Level 2 of the trait is pretty much some sort of ice globe that has like a giant radius, and what's happening whenever your opponent is inside that globe, he's losing life and he's slowing down a little bit. You know, the ice is causing him to slow down, and if he's in there long enough, your opponent is going to get frozen in that ice globe. And level 3 is sort of an instant freeze. The entire stage gets instantly frozen if you are not blocking. You know, so let's just say that your opponent has some sort of projectile that has like, you know, some recovery frames, right? But you could duck it. So if Captain Cold's is at level 3, you could actually duck it and then instantly do his level 3 trait and freeze your opponent no matter where he's at on the screen. Whether they're going to actually make it instant, of course, it has to have some startup frames. It has some startup frames, but as soon as it starts up, it's instant everywhere. So if your opponent's not blocking, then he's going to get instantly frozen. So that's Captain Cold right there in a nutshell. I think he's really fucking interesting and definitely one of the top characters that I'm looking forward to using. Now let's talk a little bit about the Flash and Bane. Nothing much to talk about. They're legacy characters. If you want to know how the Flash and Bane are going to play, just check out Injustice 1 and see how the Flash plays, see how Bane plays. They're pretty much identical except for a couple different moves. Bane got some new command grabs or new grab moves, you know, new animations. And they actually made it so the charge is punishable now. Before it wasn't, I believe it wasn't punishable, because I would definitely see Bane's throw that out there many times. His uppercut is more punishable than it was before, and whenever you use all 3 levels of your Venom, you actually take a ridiculous amount of damage. You're really slow. You're pretty much completely vulnerable, and you have to wait until that time runs out and you get your trait back before you could do anything, because you do no damage. You take 1,000,000 damage by anything, and you're extremely slow. So that's going to be the trade-off between, or that's going to be, you know, the hard thing to manage as a Bane player. When is the right time to do my Venom trait? Because the Venom trait is insanely good, but then once that's done, you get the drawback of using an insanely good trait, and then you lose so much as Bane. So that's pretty much Bane right there. Definitely looking forward to playing him. I never really liked Bane too much in the first Injustice game, but his redesign has really made me want to play the character. And, you know, some of the costumes we saw, he looks really cool. Now let's move on to the Flash. Now, the Flash definitely made a huge impression on me. I already like the Flash as a character, of course. The Reverse Flash Premier skin looks awesome. But in my opinion, just the way the Flash animates his moves, the time they put, it looks like they put a ton of time into him, even though he's a legacy character. His super, his new special moves, he looks like he is the most impressive character that has been showcased so far in Injustice 2. And I'm not even joking. I am 100% dead serious. In my opinion, before it was Dr. Fate, just the way he moves and his moves, the way they look. But I think the Flash just impressed the hell out of me, and he's like the most impressive character in my opinion. So the Flash got a couple new moves, but pretty much he's still the same. He has the 50-50s, he has the overhead low combo starters, he has the running man stance, which I'm definitely going to have to learn how to use more in my game as the Flash. The only big change is that you're not going to be able to do his speed kick or whatever, you know, the kick, the Flash kick, the one where if you meter burn it, it launches your opponent, you can do the trade. That is actually punishable on block now, so that's kind of a big deal, because what Flash players used to do before, including myself, is do either an overhead or a low combo starter and commit to the, you know, the lightning kick. And the lightning kick was completely safe, and I think it used to be plus on block, or it was plus on block, or it might be plus on block, but the point is it was not punishable at all. And now the fact that it is punishable, Flash players are definitely going to have to do something else instead of just doing an overhead low, committing to the Flash kick. If it hits, you meter burn it. If it doesn't hit, you know, you don't do anything and you're still plus, or, you know, you're still minus a little bit. And there was literally no risk. Now there is risk. If you want to commit to it, you're going to get punished. How punishable it's going to be, we're going to have to wait and see. But the point is, the Flash did get nerfed just a little bit, but he also got some awesome moves. Like, he got a new special move that looks like Smoke's back to one, really good. If it connects, you meter burn it for a launcher, and if your opponent blocks it, the other 2 specials don't come out. It's just the first hit. So that might be an option select that works in the Flash's favor, depending if the move is safe or not. If it's unsafe, then, you know, it's just going to be an unsafe move. But if it's like the first part is safe and stuff, it's going to be a good option select, because if you hit your opponent, the full move comes out, and if you don't, or if your opponent blocks it, then the move doesn't come out. And of course, if your opponent ducks it, then the other 2 parts don't come out either. So definitely going to be interesting there how that move comes into play. But that's going to be it for today's video. First impression on all 3 characters, they look amazing. Like this past week that happened with these 3 characters being revealed was definitely one of the most hype weeks so far for Injustice 2, and I'm looking forward to next week. 3 more characters we're going to get in the Watchtower. So that's going to be it. Let me know which of these 3 characters were your favorite, and I'll see you guys next time. What's going on, guys? It's Super here. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you guys subscribe or check out any of these videos linked at the top. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.